Hi there, my name's Alan Stockdale. Welcome to Escape the Prison Matrix again. And today I've got two guests what I've had on before, but I've never had on the show at the same time. And that is Gosstone and Lily Earthling. And today we're going to be going into some subjects a little bit more in depth, talking about the tilting of the Earth, why it happened, and the background of the Dracos and what they did. So I just want to keep it nice and sweet. That's make my job done. So guys, it's up to you. Lily, if you want to start the show and tell us what we're going to talk about.
Hello, Alan, and hello, everybody. Yes, today I think we should get into the tilt, the Earth tilt of 23.4 degree. I think it would be a good subject for us because we have a lot of questions about that, and there is very little information about this subject that's out there. So we are going to go into this subject today, and we're going to explain what happened and what is the goal with CERN and what it has to do with that tilt. So I'm going to go ahead and start talking about how it happened. And then all the whys and all of that stuff we'll get into later.
Okay, that sounds great.
Sounds good. All right. So how it happened is 56 BC, right, Gauze?
Yep.
56 BC. With the time flips and the time pole shifts, what was happening is this is how the matrix kept on going. This is how it kept rolling, so to speak, from a cycle to another cycle to another cycle. And physically on the planet, it was a pole shift. And in 56 BC, what happened is the planet has tilted herself 23.4 degrees. What that did is separated the astral reality from a physical planetary reality. Before that, we used to have all of it connected. So we had a reality with the 12 astral layers connected to the planet through stargates and portals and you know, many other different ways of, because it was all connected. And because of what the attempt on all the astral beings was to destroy this planet and take her as a hostage, the planet executed her plan to do what she wanted to do, which is give us the organic biogenesis, the organic healing that we came here to do on this planet. And that's the purpose of this planet, is to give the incarnates that come here, give them biogenesis and return to source path. So when that happened, go ahead, Gauze, add to that.
Yeah, just to make very specific, the organic biogenesis, organic regeneration, we're talking about on a soul level specifically, you know, because,
yes,
you know, you're looking at all these different types of animal-like sort of forms and beings that we all come from, and is all sort of pre-human sort of hereditary, you could say. The human form is a form that's on Earth that all these souls from all these different sort of races could actually do organic regeneration and return to source through, in a soul sense, through the physical existence, experiencing the whole reality. Yeah. Yeah, go on, Lily.
So that tilt on the planet, so if you can think of it, you know, the grids, they were all connected and there was grids, like think of ley lines on the planet. And then what happened with the tilt, the physical level of the planet had tilted, and the astral levels, the rest of the levels of this reality, had actually stayed in the same place. So that created the closure of portals and stargates. And everything on the planet had closed. And basically this is what created the quarantine that I called that the Earth created, the physical level quarantine. Because once that got closed, the two realities separated. The astral reality became the astral reality, and it became the subconscious, the unconscious.
And that's what the Dracos kind of planned to do. What they wanted to do, DNA, so they could directly harvest the Earth. Okay, with us being totally unconscious to it, we would have all been zombies if the Earth hadn't actually tilted to separate itself physically from the now created sort of astral levels, because otherwise, they just would have been able to do a direct harvesting of the Earth while all humans were totally unconscious to the whole reality, if that's making any sense so far.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, because the plan was to make us the unconscious. We would have been zombies. And so in the way what happened, because when we are subconscious, I mean, we're just completely controlled by our subconscious mind, which is directly connected to astral levels.
And that's with having those DNA parts of us made unconscious. The fact that we have all of those parts of us unconscious is the DNA coding to basically make them conscious. I mean, unconscious. Yeah, go under there. But the thing was that they couldn't actually do that to the Earth itself, but they could do that to all life living on the surface of the Earth and all sort of nature growing off the Earth itself. So when the Earth actually split itself physically, although they kind of did turn us into zombies, to a certain part where we're only sort of conscious of really a quarter of what we are, they weren't able to directly harvest the Earth. And because the Earth actually tilted 23.4 degrees, which numerologically adds up to 9, which is the number of the matrix and their whole mathematical system being, 9 digits, the Dracos thought that, that must have been a side effect because it went to that exact angle. And it was only in the last 100 years that they realised, no, it wasn't a side effect. The Earth did that on purpose. Sorry, go on. So
because the plan was to make us, because that incident and whatever they were doing at that time, they were planning to make us fully unconscious. So when we were just on the planet, we would be like zombies. And a lot of people would say that, this was their plan, to make us slaves, basically, here. Fully controlled, 100% controlled. But with this tilt, what the planet did is separated that. And like I said, there is a little bit of math for those that are interested in math. Our conscious mind, we only use it 3%. This is also how much organic frequency are in astral levels is only 3%. So when we heal our minds and when we work through all this and bring the subconscious into conscious, the more we do the healing, the more we're going to become conscious, meaning we're going to be consciously here in this body using more of our brain.
Yeah, the DNA prison coding becomes unlocked. And so the more you center and ground, the more gradually you're going to unlock that DNA that is unconscious that will become conscious. And that'll just be a gradually accelerating process. So the more people center and ground, the quicker it's going to happen, because the Earth is actually assisting you to do it if you want to do it. So,
Alan, does that make sense what we're talking about here?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just transfixed by listening to the information you're putting out there. It's superb. Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me, yeah. I mean, like I said on the show last week about me with the grounding I've been doing with the various ways of doing it, and I feel every day I just feel more and more just at peace and happy and awake and see everything for what it is. So yeah, I totally agree. That's what you need to do. Yeah.
Because this is what Gaz was just saying. What is happening is your DNA is becoming sort of unlocked, and the Earth assisting everybody. And right now, every day, I feel it more and more and more. It's just right here. It's all underneath our feet.
Literally.
Literally, yes. So hopefully that makes sense. But what happened is this little, incident, this little hiccup that they thought it was just a hiccup that they have to deal with, because what they were trying to achieve in 2012 to 2017 is finish what they were started, is to make us fully zombies and make all 12 strands of our DNA, how you say it goes? What's the word for it?
Deactivated.
It's not deactivated. It's coded with.
Yeah, it's a program, and the thing is, it's actually a mind program. The DNA is actually like a mind/heart program. Okay, when you got this left-right brain thing, and they talk about left brain being mechanical and mind related, and left brain being more intuitive and heart. But as we know, both of them are controlled in that sense, because it's controlled by the reptilian brainstem, the hollow point by the back of your neck. And so this is the thing, the DNA itself, the coding, it's actually a mind/heart program, okay, to basically program you from your unconscious, okay, from the parts of you that are shut off. Hence why we're only sort of 3 to 5% conscious, and maybe the biggest geniuses in history since that 56 BC time are sort of perhaps using 10%, because they've made that much of the unconscious, they've mapped it consciously and made it conscious again, but without knowing the correct tools to unlock the actual DNA prison coding. And why I say it's a prison coding, because that makes it a mind-heart program, okay, where we're more than just our mind and heart. When we're looking at our centre, we're all of our energetic centres/chakras, using them simultaneously and spontaneously all at once in the present. And the thing is, if you go into heart or mind too much, you're out of the moment. You're not in the present. And the thing is that using all your intuitive senses simultaneously and spontaneously at the same time, well, you have to be present to be able to do that. And so that's the simple way in people talk about, well, how do we deprogram from mind programming? Well, you send can using all of your senses. That's to me the most.
Could you just repeat that? You broke up.
Okay, what part did it slip out on?
Just when you started to say to the deprogramming, then it cut off.
Okay, well, instead of deprogramming the mind, sure, you can deprogram the mind, but that takes a bit longer, and you're still operating from a mind program. I'm saying don't operate from the mind/heart program. I'm saying operate from your pure, raw animal instinct, which is all your senses, your whole nervous system, everything that you sense with, using it simultaneously and spontaneously in the moment. And the thing is that once you do that, well, then you've got no opportunity of spending too much time slipping off into your brain or into your heart when you're feeling sort of heart emotions, which is different from feeling sense emotions with the whole of your body intelligence, and also in your mind. Because as soon as you think and you stay in your mind, or you're in, if you're in fear, that puts you in your mind and your heart straight away. Okay, it puts you in your mind in the sense of you end up in this sort of duality, sort of mirror bouncing prison. And then the more you get agitated and taunted by it, well, then that connects the whole heart emotion thing with it too. And so that kind of leaves you in this sort of limbo that's not in the present. But if you remain in the present and you're using all your senses to live simultaneously and spontaneously, there's no chance of you being sort of locked out of the present. So I'm saying this is the most effective way to sort of do deprogramming, is don't live by a mind program, live by your senses. And the way through it is to operate, presently, being grounded and centered. And it's actually very, very simple, and as it's meant to be. And so, yeah, that's sort of like my 2 cents for now on that one. The most basic.
So the thing, I'm going to continue with how the CERN plays into this, because it came up recently, and we still got a lot of questions being asked about how that all plays into what's happening right now. So what happened is, there was a plan to turn us into full-on zombies, meaning program the rest of our DNA. Because when you look at all teachings, spiritual teachings that did the so-called activation of DNA, what that did is put that, reprogram and keep the program a little bit tighter. That's what it did, because it made it subconscious even more. And then they were going to achieve between 2012 and 2017, they were going to readjust the Earth 23.4 degree back to 0 degree. They were going to readjust it and then do the pole flip. And and they wanted to finish what they started, is make us fully, our DNA, all 12 strands, made them all subconscious, unconscious.
Yeah,
and we would have been zombies. That was their goal.
And the thing is that as people do more advanced integrated energy work, people are taught the basic 7 chakras in the body, and then there's another 5 outside the body, and they talk about in the body. Look, there's more than just 12. 12 are just the basic sort of subdivisions of what they've created all this DNA coding with. But really, you've got infinite possibilities of energy centers, really, when you're looking at the whole body. Okay, and that'd take a whole show just to discern going through the mechanics of all of that. But what they essentially wanted to do was just, shut down those sort of areas. So then when they basically teach people, okay, we're going to teach you about the 8th chakra now. We're going to teach you about the 9th chakra after that. See, there's no point in learning this graduated mind focus, heart focus, sort of extra sort of layers when you're meant to be using them all at once in the present simply in the first place. So when they do teach people all this new stuff, there's like a new updated program on the DNA that comes into conscious being. And the thing is that you can only consciously access those parts of you by being present. And if you learned it with a mind focus to actually become conscious of this new sort of 8th density, 9th density, relating to chakra or this, that, or the other, well, that has the opportunity for sabotage again, being yet another updated DNA program, even though people think they are actually conscious of it, because you can only be conscious of it activating everything all at once. And that's how it's meant to be. It's not meant to be this long sort of lifelong journey where you do all these mind disciplines, and if you put in the time at the office, you'll get there learning all this stuff, and intelligent people will discern and live in harmonious ways as best as they can anyway. But when you're limited on the information at what you've got to base it all on, and once you crack through this simple little thing here, well, it's all meant to be used all at the same time simultaneously. None of it's meant to be shut down. So that's the basic premise of it all.
Would you say, Gos, then, that you actually activated all yours then now? Are you when you're living in the now, when and you're centered, are all yours activated when you do that then?
At the moment, in the last 6 months, as I've been sort of, funnily enough, I had to find a way to reverse all the shape-shifting, which I did by a regression, experimental regression technique to actually regress myself to a time in my life to actually reprogram the body to heal itself to a template before my body actually sort of got spelled, so to speak, into changing. Okay, at the same time, I did a very deep center activation and started using the body pendulum stuff as well. And since that time, I would say quite a substantial portion of my DNA has unlocked, and there is more unlocking, because the more you become conscious of and you start understanding with our mental body that we've been programmed with, and you start understanding it by your whole center sense, and you integrate that with your mental body so you can actually catch up to working, what your senses already know. And eventually the mental understanding and the sense understanding become more integrated, and you need less mental understanding because the mental understanding comes quicker. Well, yeah, the more DNA that you start to open, that's that. So, actually, in a sense of conscious sort of breakthrough, that it just increases at a much rapid rate after that. And so you get enough people on the planet doing this. Well, you don't need the whole population to wake up all at once. Enough can be done. So,
yes.
I
want to add to that.
Yeah.
I want to add to that because a lot of people started asking, does that mean we can, shut down our chakras and not use them and just use the center? But I just wanted to say to people that, I am not saying work on your chakras, but we had them. We have them.
They didn't have
So
DNA.
if you say, I'm going to shut it down, that means you're rejecting your own body. You're rejecting your own blueprint. We are not working on rejecting anything. What we wanted to do, we want to heal every little fragmentation that we have. We want to bring that into oneness. This is the true bioregenesis. This is the true healing, is every little fragmented self has to be healed. We can't just throw away something that is part of us, because energetically we can't get rid of energy. This is our blueprint. What we can do is we can transform it and make it one. So those people that propagate shutting off their chakras, they're basically shutting off part of themselves. And they make people believe that it's possible. It's possible. We don't throw away anything. We heal it.
Because what we want to heal and get rid of is actually the DNA coding that's been put on our chakras. And the reason why all our chakras energy centers have this coding on it, it all happens through the mind-heart focus. And as soon as you basically do the center focus, well, that is the virus override switch, of their program. It's that simple.
Yeah. And it all becomes your energy, your core.
It's all yours in the first place. It's your natural birthright to have organic soul regeneration. That's why you're here. And they've taken that away from us. We're
getting it back. We're getting it back. Right, Lily.
This is the biggest.
Lily, when you go back to, when you were talking about the CERN, then I'm really, really, really interested in that part of things. So how are they trying to use, what they're trying to do then by, have you got any info on that?
Yeah, Lily.
All right.
Yeah.
So now the astral beings and all of this, they're got, quarantined by the earth, and then the whole campaign on doing this or finishing the job, because this is what happened, that internal, the core of the planet has never got this DNA coding, so it never got programmed, so it's still organic and natural. So that only what happened with all this mess is that they tried to do, it only happened on the crust, on the outside. All right? And so what they needed to do is to realign the earth and finish the job. Realign the tilt and finish the job and get us the so-called all 12 strands of our DNA activated, as they say, but what they mean is programmed. And so they wanted to create, because this planet would have been a power source a very big power source for their inorganic light reality that they wanted to have on the planet, actually. Because if they would have turned us into zombies, we would become the robots that did all the stuff while, astral beings were just, being the creators of light. So this is what they wanted to finish. And when they realized that the Earth actually did this herself, she played a little joke on them, like God said, 23.4 adds up to 9. And they're like, oh, okay, it has something to do with the matrix since it's 9. Because you know how obsessed they are with numbers?
Yeah.
So, the planet, and I said this long time ago, a few months back, the planet played their game, and, she had a really nice poker face on, and nobody could crack it. And then she just went boom.
I've just got this picture of Gaia just winking at the Matrix.
Exactly.
To say, got ya. Awesome.
And she's having quite a good laugh from within her organic core. And then, and this whole process of actually healing began when she, they realized that, we have a problem here.
Yep.
And ever since because this is their ultimate goal. Without it, they're going space dust. So it's a survival and death. And, it's not, a simple human being. It's not just the death of a body or anything. We're talking about gods, creator gods that are facing death, facing extinction, and not just go and be reborn again. Done. When beings of that power face their extinction, they'll try everything and anything.
Yeah.
And these are compassionless beings. So they won't think about how it affects anybody. It's all about them.
Yep. And the thing is, why they're so desperate for the pole shift to get the physical grids back to the astral grids is because they've got into a situation with their inorganic extended light creation, and they've colonized the whole bloody galaxy, the universe, because they've created all these different beings. They've literally hybrided genetically anything you can think of here on Earth, all animals, different animal types from original reptilian and Anunnaki races, and they've mixed them with everything possible with human types as well, and then they've gone and colonized space. And then those beings are further. Everyone thinks and stuff.
Guys,
these guys in that fear-based mindset.
You disappeared again.
I
then.
tried to say something important. It's not working.
Yeah. So basically, they've gone and colonised space and done all that for all this time. But they're running out of battery, organic battery, and they're not getting enough from soul harvesting humans. So they desperately need to plug into the earth and the organic source to suck out what's left to continue their extended light creation. And this is how desperate they are now. And they're trying to do this to the earth. This is the big thing that they're trying to do. And if they can't do this, well, it's like as Leela said, at the moment, their whole light creation, the time extension they have is very, very limited now, and without a major sort of battery boost of organic energy, and they can't get that just from souls, they need to get that from the organic creation source itself, and they've been trying to hack the sun as well as the earth, don't worry about that. And they just haven't been able to do it. See, that's the reason why we've had all these rumours about having electricity outs and stuff like that, because they've been trying to create the solar flares to hit the earth to basically whack out the electrical grids and create the whole eventual pole shift and sort of dawn of a new day symbolism when they all came back from underground and off planet after that. That's their big nonsense fantasy. It's so crazy and ludicrous for your average, suburbanly minded, socially
Yeah.
conditioned human being. But these people think like this because they can, because there's no one else to stop them. And because, it's like you got 10 strands of DNA shut down. So it's like, of course it seems crazy. It's all dream world. Well, that's what they want. They want to keep this extended bloody Disney dream world, Hollywood in real life, I should say B grade in Hollywood real life reality happening, but in that realm. And that's why it's a culture of death that they create here on Earth, because they want to say to you, don't worry, you're always alive and infinite in the astral here, amongst all, all the fairies and the angels and the this, all that sort of thing. So it doesn't matter if your body becomes toxic here in your human life, you just go straight back to that anyway. So it's creating eventually, that's what the culture of death significance is on Earth, because they're trying to get you to say, don't worry about your Earth body. You can just come back and live another one. It's all good, because this is the programming propaganda they put behind so they can make an easy harvesting while everyone thinks it's all wonderful.
I've got a question for you both. Something what's been really a burning question inside of me for quite a while now, and what it is basically is we're connected to Source. We know what we're going to do, where we're going to. These creator gods know all about the reality and how it works. So why don't they just stop being what they are and actually come and use the Earth and regenerate themselves and come back to Source and have all the power they want? Why is it because they're so disconnected they just cannot see that reality no more, that it doesn't exist for them? I mean, have you any idea on that subject?
Yes, they are very disconnected, but yet they and they had this big plan to be creator gods for a long time, and they're a little pissed. Their egos are big, and they're a little pissed. And before they finish trying everything they can possibly do, and then we might after they failed attempt to finish their plan, they might come to their senses.
Yeah.
And we're gonna say it here right now that the offer by the planet stands for everyone.
Exactly.
It stands right here. The planet, your feet are on the ground of the planet. She is offering you the organic biogenesis, and they're choosing to try something else. They wanted to try it, and this is what we're here revealing, that this is what they're doing. This is what they're trying to do. And just because this is, they're running out of any possibilities. There's just only a few things they can do, and they don't have a very good chance at achieving that. But they're going to try. I just have a feeling they're going to try everything possible, because
Lily,
they had this dream, but they didn't achieve it.
Yeah,
And
Lily,
so,
we might go into how the mechanics of how they intend to do this.
yes.
Like
So
talking about
I wanted
negative,
to go in
like,
about CERN. I don't want to forget about Alan's question about CERN. What is CERN right now? So before the tilt, all the pyramids were used to harvest planetary energy. Then they sort of trap it with the angles, and and then it feeds the rest of the reality, the 12 astral levels that we had when they were connected here. So the pyramids were all on ley lines and all of that stuff, and on stargates and everything, and that pyramids were used to harvest planetary organic frequency. That is the main purpose. And when Earth tilted herself and she closed all those stargates and they couldn't feed off the planet, they couldn't harvest planetary energy to finish their job, because to do this, to create this, dream world, as we started calling here in the physical, they need the energy from the planet too, because they've got none. They're disconnected from source. So how CERN plays in this, once they realize that they've tried a lot of different things in the last 100 years, like I said before, and they couldn't move the crust. So what they did is CERN and there's many other places that are working with CERN or in, companions of CERN. They're actually the created pyramid systems. They're trying to recreate the pyramids, and this is why CERN is on the 0 degree. It goes right through the center, just like Giza pyramids used to be. Now they're at exactly 23.4 degree from the center. That used to be on the center. So CERN is located near the 0 degree. And so this is your pyramid. This is a modern and to use what they were going to use pyramids for. Flip the poles and, they are actually trying to create new stargates with it too. This is why all the portals, those are portals, and you will hear a lot in the spiritual communities, everybody's trying to open these portals. And, and they talk, and when you really look at what's going on in the spiritual community, they're sort of, and the dates that they give and all of that stuff, they're all sort of tie into CERN. Because this is also, this is modern pyramid. And from the history, we know all the spiritual teachers are very attached to pyramids because this is their job, is they harvest earth energy. And so now it's all tied into CERN. So this is what CERN is, actually. If you learn about what pyramids did before the tilt, now since they couldn't achieve the 0 degree tilt back, they went ahead and created pyramids here.
Yeah, they've had to try and create a new technology to do it all again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the experiments, what they're doing, where they say on the 21st of March they're going to try to recreate a black hole, is that just a cover story for what they're actually trying to do?
Absolutely. That's only just telling you a fraction of it, Yeah, trying to create a black hole or trying to smash a particle. Yeah, well, you want to tell us the details, go a little further as to what that entails and for what purpose it really, that they say it's like, so we can understand the quantum reality sort of, quark sort of, as they term it sort of thing, what's going on. But really, there's an agenda to all of it. But they just titillate the mainstream with, just that sort of front thing, so it'll keep all the boffins sort of, nicely sort of distracted and interested at the same time.
I noticed that Stephen Hawkins, did you see that he brought an article out about 6 weeks ago saying they shouldn't do the experiments at CERN? I actually think that he might be a lot more aware than what people give him credit for, but I think he's been stifled by, because obviously he talks through a screen, a computer, so it'd be very easy to shut him up, wouldn't it, and say, Stephen Hawkins is now saying this about CERN, because apparently I've seen one where he's gone back a little bit on what he said, and he just doesn't resonate with me. He just seems like, that's just you pretending to be him to say that, because I do feel that he's a lot more aware than what people will probably think.
Oh, yeah. The way Hawking has been manipulated by the Illuminati powers that be has been pretty full on, but in him saying that, actually, that they should back off from all those experiments and what they're doing, well, he's 100% correct, and he's actually on the right track, and there's actually through there that's actually not being manipulated. I feel very strongly.
Yeah, me too. Awesome. Right then, shall we carry on? Will we carry on with this explanation, or have you finished with that? Have you?
Well, does that sort of make sense, Alan?
Yeah,
what
just to me,
CERN is doing? There's so much more, and because the mind control programs also, it's a big computer. So there's a mind control program that runs through that. So it's sort of trying to create a grid on the planet that's artificial. Grid on the planet that they can connect to Astral. This is why they're doing it not on the angle, but where the Astral is. and so they're creating it on the planet for mind control, and they, because they cannot and they have not succeeded with doing this with the planet, what their last sort of resort is to harvest as many people's energies as possible. This is why it's done through so many different programs. There's so much energy that they require. They basically beg people to go and, open portals here or do meditation here, because they are starved of that energy, and it's hard for them. Without people giving them energy to create this artificial grid that's going to match up to their astral grid and finish the job, without people giving them energy, they will not succeed at all.
And
they
also,
need it so badly.
Might I add to that? The thing is that they not only do they need the energy from the humans, but for the technology to work properly, they need to use the humans as an interface technology conduit to actually not only get the energy, but then actually process the energy to direct it and to do stuff with, because we're the actual best technology. Because when they did it with pyramids, they used a combination of crystal technology, in particular Maldivite, which they planted all over the planet. And where Maldivite comes from is very interesting as well. We can get into that later, because it's actually an alien sort of off-planet sort of substance that was originally in Maldek. But what they do is get that crystal technology, and then they basically get all the energy from the Earth, and use the Earth like a battery, with the pyramids. And they've got that all gridded up. But for the crystals and the pyramids to work, they need to use the genetics of the humans, We're actually the technology, we're the conduit interface for it to all work properly. So since they can't use the pyramids anymore, they had to redevelop new technology over the years, and from everything from computers to silicon chips to, the whole what have you, in order to rebuild this technology, which also included the orgone technology stuff from William Reich, and also Victor Schauberger's work, and all those scientists and people that sort of made breakthroughs, was all to do with orgone energy is the same as organic internal creation source energy, or quarks at quantum reality. And then Tesla came along and took it to another level as well, and then they took that all off him. And so with all that technology on how to access the organic energy and transmute it all again into the electromagnetic energy, which is dual in nature, because all friction on the Earth, all fight, all that sort of thing generates electromagnetic. The Earth made thing that this is how the technology all works in the most simplest way to sort of explain it. And so they had to develop all that technology again, because they didn't have the pyramids, but at the same time they've got to use other things in conjunctions with it. And as Lily was saying, the CERN computer has got about 600 different belief programs, which are all different texts for different people of different varieties of different genetic types. And like Lily's also saying, begging them to basically, fill up these portals and that portals that are all along the astral grids, because they're so starved of this energy, because they can't get as much from the Earth as they used to, Like, I do feel strongly that they have learnt how to actually, through this technology, how to actually start to harvest the Earth energy again. But the problem is that to get that energy out to the galaxy, to their other worlds that they've created, that's all the inorganic life systems out there, they've got to send it all out through the actual portals and stargates through the planet, and that's still all closed off. So this is their big, big problem.
Yeah.
So even if they actually manage to harvest the energy, they still can't get it out to the cohorts out there. So there's no wonder Gaia's winking and laughing at them then, if that's the case.
Yeah, that's why Lily's saying they're desperate now. They're trying to make new artificial stargates. Yeah, they're that desperate. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and a lot of if you kind of sort of look back at all the spiritual teachings and all of that stuff, there was in around 2010 there was a big push, for people to give their energy. When you look back, a lot of people, because there was sort of, teachings, because they were thinking all the way till 2010, they thought the CERN was going to succeed and they're going to open this artificial grid with CERN and it's going to work. And that's why, there was a lot of people working the grids on the planet, sort of preparing the planet for this artificial grid. And in 2010, there was a lot of upgrades to the program, to the spiritual teachers programs, that they went from the grids because they realized it wasn't working, but that they are trying to attempt again. Like in 2010, you will see, if you look back, Asha and Nadine went from working the grids to, okay, now it's all about people. People have to do all this stuff. And she started doing all this, techniques with people within themselves. George Kavasilas changed his ascension song from, the earth crust is going to move, and now it's all, it's inner doors. It's inside of you, so you got to do inside work. All of that is connects to that artificial grid and to the CERN programs. That's what it's doing, because then they got really, 2010 was a very disappointing year for for astral beings, and they literally reprogrammed all of the spiritual teachers and everybody to create to make sure and work on people, so people can be sucked as much as possible. Because this is when that really vigorous DNA activation started, and all these classes and everything. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, we got to turn inwards and we got to do ascension and all of that stuff. But what it was a program to program the body to become the conduit and to give as much energy as possible.
Yeah, and make people just a little bit more conscious. So as I said earlier in the program, it's actually like a reprogramming of the DNA to make them slightly more conscious so they're able to do this.
Yeah.
Wow. They are tricky buggers, aren't they? They really are. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know what? I named some people in this. It's not because I have something, personal against these people. These people, they didn't know what they were doing. They're being used. They're human beings, and the planet offers them the love, and she still offers all these people that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, what you did, that you've been fooled by astral beings and astral levels. It doesn't matter. You have the earth here giving you the chance and giving you the choice. All you have to do is look around and then choose. I mean, she's not going to punish anybody for being used and abused by astral beings. She's not going to do any of it. So, for those people, I'm not trying to, badmouth any of those people, because none of us knew what was going on.
Yeah.
So this is just, this is just information. This is just for an example. I wanted to give an example so people can start to have a mental understanding what, the kind of manipulations that are happening, that, these beings are trying to do, and they're still trying to do this. You see yourself how much push we have for these portal openings, for the event, for, they call it whatever they call it. This is a desperate attempt for your energy, for your life source. This is an attempt. That's all it is. It is a begging, desperate begging. But what we can do is turn around and tell these beings, hey, here's the planet. Here's the organic biogenesis. Here's Earth's timeline. It's available to you. It's available to everybody.
Yep. And,
all right.
in case...
Gods, we're almost done, so do you want to finish up?
Yeah, so for all those sort of New Age religious people who have been, with all very good intention, but we've all been hoodwinked. It's like if you've all been feeling exhausted in this sort of time and age, well, now you know why. And the thing is that at the end of the day, as humans, we're incredibly resilient, strong and adaptable life forms. So we're still able to function, but that's the thing. It's like someone's, sapping on sort of half of your battery, and you're only got half your normal battery to lead your day-to-day life. And that's, why if you're sort of hooked up into all of these sort of ascension texts and other sort of spiritualities, Astral gets you to use your body when you're chanting and all that sort of things, which basically creates a frequency to use your body as a conduit to actually summon up all this earth energy, and then you project it all to the astral that keeps on feeding their grid, and then they can basically, send it to portals and what have you. So this is the thing. As soon as you start living in the present and less in the mind, to put it in the most simplest way possible, well then in the present they can't get your energy.
Yeah.
So the more you operate from your whole senses all at once, just your pure instinct, and integrate your mind with that more and more and more, well, the more energy you're going to have. And you back that up by earthing and grounding energetically and eating all earth foods, and not so much the fiction cartoon foods, so to speak. Well, then you go a long way very quickly to sort of getting all your energy back, and you're not having your battery drained without you being aware of it.
Yeah, and they turn around and all that draining that you feel from giving you energy, and they called it ascension symptoms.
Yeah.
It's like, ascension is sickness. It is sickness because that's what you feel, and they've called it ascension symptoms. And people just eat it like it's candy.
I know. I've got Michelle's just messaged me on Facebook. She's obviously, because we've had to sort of reschedule the time we was doing it because of the problems what Goz had with the communications. She's actually just she's got herself up and she's just getting herself ready. I've just noticed she's come online onto Skype, so when she's ready, I'll bring her onto the call, and because we've still got another hour left, Lily. Because I know you said that.
Oh, okay.
when you go in your zone, you forget what
when
time it is. Yeah.
I tried to use the time. I still. Can't.
So we've got about another hour and 3 minutes, so we're okay. So I'll wait for, and she's just messaged me now. Just give me a second, I'll take a look. Yeah, she's ready. So I'll give her a ring, bring her onto the conversation. I think she's just going to mainly listen in, she says, but well, you never know, dear. We'll see. So just bear with me while I bring her on. Well, Michelle, there she is. Add her to the call. Right, I should be ringing her just now. I'll introduce her if she is. Come on, Michelle. Where are you? No, are you there, Michelle?
Hi, yes I am.
Ah, fantastic. I know.
Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Lily.
How are you?
And Goz. Goz as well. Come on, Goz.
Hey, Michelle.
Hey, the gang's all here. We're having a family reunion.
Yeah, so honestly, the energy I get off you three is just incredible. It's awesome.
I actually thought it was like in an hour and 15 minutes, so I'm glad I got up earlier.
Yeah,
I just woke up.
We just had some problems. Goz had gone offline for 2 days due to some, probably the powers that be trying to stop him communicating, no doubt. And we just sort of got misinformation about the times, etc. So we just played it by ear and just done what we've done. I mean, up to now we've been talking about the CERN and the tilt of the Earth, and basically how we can sort of what we need to do to help it not happen. Basically, what it's all about. So really, have you got any questions yourself, Michelle? I mean, feel free to ask them. Anything to do with anything like that. If you haven't, we'll just carry on chatting.
Not yet. Go ahead and keep chatting. You might. I don't know if you want to introduce me or not.
Well, of course. I mean, people listening to this, Michelle, don't know who you are anyway, aren't they? It's Michelle Walden from 5D, of course.
Your family,
with
Michelle.
With
Your family.
tones. Absolutely, she's family. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you want to do like an official that I'm on the line or not, but whatever. I'm here,
we're recording now as we speak, Michelle. So all this is just going to be on the recording. So it is what it is. Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah,
everybody.
we just play it by ear, don't we, on this show, on mine, yeah.
Like I said, I just woke up, so I am here, and I really would like to talk about the energies, what's been happening in the last week. Whenever we get off whatever topic that we're talking about right now.
Well, we've covered it, Michelle, so go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, what I want
you start and tell us about what's been happening to you.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I wrote an article recently on implants and tags, thanks to information that Gauze had given me and that I had known, but he just basically gave me a few of the little pieces of the puzzle that I, was uncertain about. I did a lot of research, and I read a lot about people who know about these things. I mean, who have had them removed and have had family members that have been implanted and tagged and actually, triggered to work against them. And once you get to a certain level of observation, you begin to see around you when it's happening. And that really has been happening to me a lot the last week. And the thing is that when you stay centered and grounded, if you have an implant yourself, it can be neutralized, and that really, Gauze had told me that, and that had really made sense to me, because my main question, that I've been asking people as I interview them or as I meet them is, why us? Why is it that we're awake right now and we look around and we see that everybody else seems to be asleep still in our reality? Because we are spread all over the world, and we did that on purpose, because we may be the only person, in our city. If we live in a suburb like I do, we may be the only one in our city to wake up first. And really, it's because we knew innately how to center and ground, whether we knew we were doing it or not. But what you can do is you can tell when those around you are being triggered, because when you become off-centered and you drag yourself back down onto the stage of this play of life, you're in it, and you're off your mark again. And it's really a challenge to bring yourself back to being connected again and centered and not react, especially emotionally. And it seems to me like been sweet by what's happening.
Yeah, you broke up there. You just
broke off.
The last sort of 20 seconds. It seems to me, and then it went off. That's what you said.
It seems to me what's happening is I'm fighting to keep my consciousness and not be emotionally triggered by those around me. And
Yes.
it seems that the game has really ramped up this last week. And I had a really tough evening one night where I was laying in bed and I was trying to go to sleep, and they were triggering me because of something that had happened. One of the most stressful things that people can go through is selling a house, moving, and when you put the most stressful things in your life together all at once, it gets pretty crazy. But I've been selling a house, and I've been it's just been stressful, and one of the things they'll trigger you about is money. And, I had all these thoughts running through my head. It was like, if something doesn't happen with this economy, how are we going to feed ourselves? I mean, meaning that, there's millions and millions and millions of people out of work on this planet, and then there's people like me and all of you that we do this full time, and this doesn't pay. Nobody gives us a paycheck right now for it, but I guarantee you, energetically, we are going to get paid.
Trillionaires, that's what we are.
Yeah. So I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep, and I literally could not go to sleep because of all the thoughts in my head, and I'm literally fighting myself inside of my head. And I'm having a conversation, thinking. I wasn't like hearing voices or anything, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm okay, Mother Earth, I'm centering, I'm grounding. I'm connecting with you, and I ask you to take me out of this place, to take me out of these thoughts, to take me out of this funk right now. And I had to do that for quite a long time, for at least an hour, because the stress was in my head. And I know when I woke up the next day, I felt so much better because I had talked to Mother Earth for like an hour, saying, look, something's got to change on this planet, and we've got to do this now, and our brothers and sisters have to stand up and find their voice and say no. It's about saying no, we don't want to live like this. We don't want to watch our brothers and sisters suffer. The ones that have, kids that don't have a dime. The ones that are, they just had a child that's entering school and they want to vaccinate them. The ones that just had a baby and they have to explain to people why they don't want to have it circumcised, just all these things. And I'm going to have a show on this with Laura Eisenhower about these subjects, but money was the number one thing that they've used against me lately to try to trigger me out of my center. So I just wanted to bring that up.
That's really
Yeah,
good,
Michelle.
Yeah, go on.
I've experienced that too, and it's kind of, when you poke a beast, you might, do something about it. And I've poked a beast a little bit in last week, which it's just a few simple things about, mentioning some Guardian Alliance folks. And, I haven't even got to a full revealing of that whole, group of, beings. We haven't even, we barely poked at it. And they are very, very unhappy about it because they're very desperate and they are hanging on by the thread to that hope that they will still do what they intend to do. And whoever is popping out right in their way, they're gonna try to take you out, so to speak, whatever way they can, and they'll throw everything at you, and they'll go for something that they know it's the weakest point or whatever it is within your within you, and they'll go right after that. And I even talked about this in my latest video. With me, it's the thoughts that really, the doubts.
Oh,
I
had doubts that any of this was even happening. Just the other night, I started thinking I was crazy. They were putting doubts into my mind that, that this time that we live in, that the fact that I woke up, the fact that I've met, all of my soul family, all that was just that I'm the one that's crazy. And I knew that wasn't true. But what happens is it's almost like in an instant you forget. You forget how far you've come, and you forget, in my mind I'm thinking, gosh, I could have had a real job in the last 3 years. And, I could have, maybe $50,000 sitting in the bank. And then I would, come to my senses and say, but money doesn't mean anything, and money's just printed on paper. And, think something huge is going to happen that's going to render money, anybody that's got all that kind of money sitting in the bank, I would definitely, personally, I would invest in hard silver or gold or something of an asset, because I think that from watching the videos that Greg Prescott posts on N5D, I think that these analyst guys are on top of things, and I think that it's everything has been saying it's going to crash since it did crash in 2008, and they propped the financial system up. But even as of last night when I watched a video, there was an analyst saying that the stock market couldn't hang on past September There's just no possible way because the world is
It's been a
forcing.
systematic looting. Yeah. It's
The
been
world
a
is
systematic
forcing
looting,
it.
Michelle, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the thing is that all planned it because these people, they always plan the revolutions. They plan the controlled opposition. They as long as there's fight, you know, there's that duality, you know, there's always a duality fight happening. Well, then it creates that energy that they...
Yes, I know that part of the plan.
Michelle, we can't
And I'm
hear you.
really
You
excited about.
Can you start again, Michelle? We didn't hear any of that.
Yes, I realize that their plan, the New World Order plan, is to crash the financial system. I do realize that. I'm just hoping that when this happens, that as human beings, enough people will look at the New World Order plan and say, no, I'm not going to have any part of that, and figure something out on our own. That's what I want to, that's what I want to ask. If
The Earth will have
anybody,
its own revolution of currency rather than, you know, the Earth will hijack their sort of usual sort of plan to create a new sort of false sort of new order that seems like a good thing to everybody, but really just a continuation of the same with the corporate rebranding. You know, just it's like basically, you know, doing a big turd and then rolling around in glitter every time. You know, it's like anyway.
yes, I mean, people need to start using their voice and standing together. I know that there's plenty of people out there doing that, and I feel that, and that's wonderful. But I feel everything on this planet, and that's what I was feeling the other night, was this financial crunch. And when this does happen, folks, this is time to stand up and be a part of, even if it's just an own declaration in your own house and saying, I do not consent to this new world order. I'm a sovereign being. I do not consent to being controlled, and it's time for humanity's freedom.
Yep.
And magic things will happen, folks. And we are here to do this. And I am just your cheerleader today. I want you to say, we don't have any fear. Once you lose the fear of dying, then that's
Yep.
I mean, there is no there. You are invincible to begin with. So
Yeah.
I feel like a superhuman in a way, and I'm still here talking to you. The worst thing they can do to me is try to put little thoughts in my head. And once you have the game, once you know what the game is, and that's why I have my website, howtoexitthematrix.com, is so once you know the game, you've won.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, could I just say one thing on the subject of like the attack you had with the finance? With me, I've not got no fear of the money side of things. Not that I've got it, I haven't. I've gone past that. But one thing I have noticed last week, what they tried to attack me with, I enjoy having a drink on a weekend, on a Saturday especially. And I noticed last week I was continually bombarded with thoughts of, oh, go out and celebrate, have a drink, go out and get some beers in, have a drink with Jill. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute, where's all this coming from? And I sat back and I'm analysing it and thinking, yeah, it's them, it's the Astrals trying to get me to do something, anything what'll just take me away from what we're doing now. Yeah, so I totally agree with Michelle there. But if that's all they can throw at me, then bring it on. So that's what I say.
Well, there's the reason now why they call spirits
Superhumans. I think Gaz can explain why we are superhumans.
Yeah, go on, guys.
Okay.
And what it has to do,
Put
and
your
why.
cape on.
I think we're kind of, we can go into more of a newer information now, because we are superhumans. We are, and we can go, and Gaz can go into actually the mechanics of why we are more powerful than any of these astral beings.
That's every
Because-
person on this planet.
Yes.
Well, there's another thing to this reverse polarization that they achieved of duality with the 56 BC incident. Because what that did was it reverse polarized the existing duality that they created around 6,000 years ago, when the sort of Maldek imposters sort of hijacked the Sumerian Magyar affinity then and turned all the externalized organic internal creation source nature processes that we experience here in nature, well, all the symbols then were identifications of whole nature processes. There wasn't any split, separate sort of positive, negative, feminine, masculine, light, dark sort of to it. That all got created when that whole Sumerian Magyar affinity system got hijacked, and they made them all into split symbol spellings, okay? That were then, you have all they create themselves as sort of like icons to be worshipped, and that's how they start getting the astral energy through all the meditation and the prayer and all that sort of thing. But the thing was that until the 56 BC incident, although they created duality, they still couldn't completely control and manipulate the humans, because they were still basically awake on all 12 strands of DNA, because there was no DNA back then. As I said, DNA is actually like a coding that's been put on our genetics, okay? So they could actually turn on and turn off certain things, which they did. So what happened was they realised by 56 BC or some time before that, although they had basically hijacked and taken over a lot of the existing human, both first and second Homo sapiens seeding tribes, they still couldn't control humans enough, because the humans could still see into the whole reality. So what they had to do was shut down part of the reality and turn it all into a big astral thing. And so that's what they did with the 56 BC incident. And so after that, we're operating on 2 strands of DNA and 10 strands are sort of unconscious. Well, that coding enabled them to make those parts of us unconscious. Okay, but the thing is, this is the trick. Once you get this, because they've reverse polarized everything, have a look in the New Age when they talk about sort of dracos, and having this whole sort of 9-level astral reality. Well, that's the 9 levels, that we're basically being made genetically unconscious through the DNA coding. And that we're told that we're in the first, second and third dimension, and it's just this crude, dense sort of vibration and the whole everything, and we're told that it's a holographic universe. Okay, well, before we had all of this DNA turned off, it wasn't holographic at all. And the scientists are right in saying it's holographic, because it's all coming, what we see in front of us. They're right to think that, because it's all coming from this DNA program. Reality again, which we can see into it all, which we become conscious of it all again. So what they did, you see in the New Age, okay, to get these upper levels of dimension, well, what they're trying to do is basically wake you up and bring you in more consciously on all these other dimensions, to actually program you on these levels before you sort of integrate it with the existing sort of programmed third dimension levels. But the thing is that they're not the higher levels at all. You're already in the high levels, because there's nothing more powerful than something in the physical and being a human doing organic soul generation here on Earth, which is, the same frequency as the organic internal creation source itself, as well as the sun. If you're conscious of the whole reality of, say, what we know as the 12 strands, and it goes on much further than that, but that's just what they've divided it into for the sake of effective programming. I'm sure it matrices off into, 24, 48, and all the rest of it. And that all matches up with sort of frequencies as well, actually, that gets into a deeper level, because the actual Earth frequency is 24 hertz, and it's not the Schumann resonance of the 7.8. And the interesting thing is that you times the Schumann resonance thing times 3, what do you get? 23.4. Oh, wow. So this is the thing. That's something I've got to get into later, because I'll notice that recording bit rates and stuff, you've got 24, 48 hertz, 96 or 192. It's all sort of subdivisions of that thing. But the whole point is that we never had any DNA coding. DNA is just the coding to turn it all into a prison, so they can turn parts of our reality on and off And so they can manipulate and make more inorganic their light creation, this whole astral thing, and program us to that. And it's like, as you were saying before, much earlier, in the sense of what they want to do is program all the physical reality here to be exactly like the reality they've created and siphoned off with that 56 BC incident. But once you know it's reverse polarized, it actually gives the game away, because it actually shows you that there's nothing more powerful than the physical. So what they've done is had to create a whole program to totally sort of harvest all the frequency of the planet, okay, and turn us all into zombies. That didn't quite work because of the tilt, okay, and they've been trying to sort of pole shift in order to bring all those levels back again on the planet itself. So they didn't intend that to happen on the planet. They did basically intend for everything on the outer crust, everything living on it and of it, to basically be shut down to a certain basic, so they operate in a basic physical sense that can be controlled from the unconscious sense. But it's actually this physical sense. Once you're conscious on all
I'm gonna interrupt just a little bit. This is that zombified state, that dream state. What they were trying to do to overload all of us here is what the new Earth thing is. It's the dream living, sort of the dream state of being fully unconscious.
Yeah.
That's the new Earth teachings.
That's how they want us to be in the physical. They want us to be living the dreamland that they've created in that whole astral thing since we've been basically turned off to that part of our reality. So they've basically, infected it, polluted it, made it, turned it into a sewer, basically. But the thing is that heals and gets better the more that we become conscious of the whole reality again, and all their fictional sort of enhancements and mutations or whatever you want to call it. Well, that'll all sort of heal, because basically that won't be what it is anymore, because we'll have the whole integrated reality again, and more people that are living with the Earth in that way. Well, that sort of existence that they're creating, well, they might be able to continue it further off planet in what they've colonised off there, but they're still going to need a power source to be able to do it. And without a power source, well, that reality is going to be stymied and eventually fade without having that organic battery juice. I don't know what more to say than that.
Yeah, pretty awesome. There's something I wanted to ask you guys. It's a bit off the subject we're talking about now, but I've talked to this subject with Lily and Michelle via messages, and it's to do with me personally. I'm trying to save my dad from the astral realms, and Lily said that you'd be the person that probably got more info what you might be able to tell me to help me do it. I've been in communication with him through my dream states, and he's in a perpetual. He used to do DIY around the house, and that's all he seems to be doing constantly. Now he's happy enough in his own little reality on the astral, and I've been trying to get through to him to try and obviously bring him down to the organic Earth. And I'm feeling that I am making some progress. But have you got any tips or anything that could help me?
Yeah, well, for someone that's an old person, unless they're reasonably open-minded in the first place in their approach to life, well, it's hard to teach an old dog, so to speak, as the saying goes. Yeah. So the way to do that, and especially, I don't know how stubborn he is or, strong-minded and all the rest of it, what he's like in his personality, but in the case of someone that's intelligent, quite often you've got to sort of do the monkey see, monkey do more rather than sort of try and preach it in any sort of way. Because if they're too smart, they can always go to the other end of the duality and argue you down. So what you do is you start doing something and they start looking at you and getting curious. Or you actually say something that triggers them to sort of sniff a little bit further down that. And their own curiosity is going to sort of realise it for themselves. So you've got to put in these little sort of triggers that sort of lead them. It's like the fine art.
What sort of triggers would you say then, girls? Just give me some examples. What you think?
Yeah, guys. Okay. I think Alan did say that his dad has actually passed on. He doesn't have a body.
Oh, actually, he has actually passed on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I do apologise. Oh, yeah, he died 2.5 years ago. And just to give you a bit of background on himself, he was actually becoming aware just before he died, only to the banking system and the pharmaceuticals, that side of the matrix. But he was becoming aware of that, and he was aware of the afterlife, as I believed at the time. Going to the tunnel and all that. I thought that's where you were supposed to go, so that's what I told him what to do. So I feel a bit guilty on that, but then again, it is what it is. So I have been communicating with him, but it's really hard for me, because when I'm dreaming it, I wake up the next day and it's just a feeling inside me of what generally it happened, but there's no specifics. I can't actually hear what he says or me to him. It's really, really strange, but I just get a feeling I am getting the right way. That's about all I can say.
Well, if he happened to get sort of trapped in the astral and sort of, went to the light down the tunnel, and there's a lot of things where, they constantly recycle people like this for a long time. Not that it happens to everyone, but most people it does. And the thing is that because that astral light creation, extended light creation, sort of detached from the organic internal creation source, especially on Earth, as it's on its own timeline again now, well, this is a gradual process, and it means that reality can't exist any further on Earth. So
hello, Goz. Got you at all? Hello?
Yeah, he's dropped off on my end too.
Yeah, dropped off on mine. No doubt he's going to be giving us some really good information, no doubt. So,
I see that he's trying to come back on. I'd like to say real quick that I actually sent my father into the light 2 years ago as well. He died before that, but I actually was doing pendulum. I was speaking to apparently the astral realms with my pendulum. Mm-hmm. And I was actually sending people, or I was creating some kind of vortex myself or stargate myself, and I was attracting all these souls. And so I was telling them to go into my light, which I don't know if that is real or not, but that's what was happening in my, with my own pendulum. Yeah. But I actually did have this was a wild story, but I actually went to a James Van Praagh, who's a psychic medium. He's on he's one of the big ones, like on television and stuff. I went to his seminar to learn how to do that medium stuff, which now I know that I wasn't supposed to do that. I mean, I'm not supposed to be a medium. But I went to a seminar, and people started practicing bringing through family members for everybody, because that's what they were there to do. And everybody was talking to my dad. My dad went around to each one of them, and they would give me a little 5-minute message or whatever. And I talked him into the light that way. So truly, I'm telling you, when you were saying, Alan, that you were doing this kind of like in your dreams, I was doing it here awake on the planet, talking to my father through like 10 different women at this week-long seminar. And finally, at the end of the seminar, he went, quote, into the light. I don't know what that means. So, yeah, I know what you're feeling when it comes to that. Of course, that's no coincidence that we both had the same thing happen. But what I want to say is, even if he did get recycled, then that's probably the best place 2 years ago for him to be, is recycled as a baby now, because he's here, he's in a body. But if he didn't go for real, I mean, because James Van Praagh told me at the end, when I was one of the ones that my dad pushed his way through, and James Van Praagh took a message at the end, kind of like a confirmation for everybody. And he said that, I said, my dad, and he says, and his father's here. And I said, so my dad went into the light,
Yeah, yeah.
And James never said yes, but he said he's here, he's with your grandfather. Now, wherever my grandfather is, if they were still earthbound, Gauze, maybe you can get into this, but from what I understand, when the energetics get to a certain point, the earthbound souls as well will have a chance to somehow make that source connection with the planet. Is that accurate, or do you have to have a body?
Well, absolutely. Regardless of whether they come in as they'll come in as the second born again, astrally programmed and stuff like that. The fact is that they still have an opportunity. Like, I don't know when I got cut off then when I was talking. But the thing is that all the upper, astral hierarchy have to do it too. They all got to come into a body to do organic soul regeneration. It's the only way to go. And I know, Enlil himself, he defected a long time ago. He saw the writing on the wall, and, he's doing organic regeneration now. And, you've got sort of the Azazel and sort of, Archangel Michael, that's the two different sort of, Hathor and Shem Dracos is playing out the duality fight between the good and evil now, and they're, trying to, do the predictive programming of the whole Bible sort of program and all that sort of thing that they've created, all the Revelations nonsense. And that's just basically, preemptive script, that the elites are basically playing that all out to the Draco programming. So the thing is that even some of the upper hierarchy have already abandoned ship, and they're in human bodies now, because once you become an earth soul, you're no longer that. That's still part of your genetic ancestry and hereditary in those other currently unconscious parts of our DNA. But once they're conscious again, it's a full integrated part of you into the human and the earth soul, and it's just a part of you, and it's all okay, and it's not part of this sort of freaky sort of astral world. It's all imaginary that, we must be living a holographic existence for the whole of it, because all of that is, and all the rest of it. So it's all been done in reverse, from that 56 reverse polarization. And once you can see certain ends of that now, and what we've been deceived into saying, well, all these bottom levels that are really, they've been saying, I should say all these top levels that have really been the bottom levels all this time. We're actually already on the top level. It's just that we've basically had a lot of our roots cut from us, in the sense of made unconscious through all this DNA coding. So once that all becomes conscious again, well, that's it. The game's over. Fully. It will no longer be a game or a theatre. It will have our birthright back, to be able to organically regenerate, and as regards to our soul. So with your dad, it's like it's going to be okay. It's like he's going to get ample opportunity to sort of do this again. And as the astral sort of basically diminishes in the way that it's been since this 56 BC incident, it's going to become a lot easier, because it's going to have to be a case of abandoned ship, because all the pollutions of the astral, it will all be in reality anymore, and, the fiction stuff won't be able to sort of hold itself. So, yeah.
It will kind of fall apart by itself. Something in me tells me that the Earth will offer a choice for organic biogenesis to every soul.
Yeah.
And so, and even those that are passed on, they will still, we might not see that consciously yet, how that might be, but I know within me that there is going to be an available way or choice for all those people that are in astral levels to actually choose the planetary timeline. So I am sure of it, that there is not one soul that's not, that's sort of not going to get that offer from the planet. The planet will come up with some kind of plan. I mean, we're just now realizing how incredible her plan is, and how she outsmarted all of the gods. She outsmarted our little planet, just little crooked and all of that stuff, She's a little crooked, but she's just like, all right, here I go, having a little blimp. But, she's still more powerful. That internal source energy is a lot more powerful than any, created light energy. It's just what it is.
And because we'll be using whole sense again, we'll be literally out of the death program, in the sense of one thing that this 56 BC incident did, it also shortened the lifespan of everything on the earth as well, because when you got this whole mind death program, and the fact is they don't want people to live too long lives, and the thing is the human body is designed to live for hundreds, if not thousands of years, if, you know, we're symbiotically living in an environment, well, where we're living within the organisational structure of how nature runs its own technology itself. And if we sort of live within that and the technology we make doesn't actually take over nature and replace it. It actually works within it to the point you don't even notice it. Well, then that's the only good use of technology, you know, really, that there is. Otherwise, apart from that, it's like we have an ideal environment with enough oxygen, with enough magnesium in the soil, with enough of all the usual everythings that we're depleted of now. Well, that's going to allow us, while we're centering at the same time and got full activation again and taken all that DNA coding off, well, of course we're going to live for a lot longer. So it's because the thing is that the 56, it's why they don't want us to go to the inner Earth and find out what's going in there, because down there, the 56 BC incident didn't affect what's going on down there. So all the beings living down there, which are mainly Draco-created humans and dracos, have all got like the full 12-strand activation because they never even had any DNA put on in the first place. And from stories I've read, I'd check out the Olaf Jansen story. That's one of the most amazing stories that resonates deeply, quite a few factors in there. And the beings live, you know, hundreds of years down there because you're able to study every subject for, you know, 40 different years of your life or something like that, even longer, you know, and live it and experience it. There's no hurry, you know, and time against the clock to earn all this money and to have deadline and stuff like that for all this crap. You know, you don't live life according to those sort of deadlines and pressures. So once you take a fraudulent sort of money system out, you know, that basically, you know, gets us to create stressful lives, you know, eating rubbish food and all the rest of it, you know, because we're programmed to think, oh, look, you can live infinitely in the astral in your dreamland anyway, so just live the dreamland here now. Well, that doesn't really create, you know, it denies us our birthright of being able to organically generate on a soul level. And so everything will kind of improve. I think there's a lot of other things to our humanity that will be turned on again that we won't even realise, you know, that were actually taken away from us because you think of it, you know, if you have 3/4 of your reality unplugged, well, there's a lot in there to sort of rediscover and remember, isn't there?
Absolutely. Do you think then, Goz, that once the entire planet, as in all the animals and humans and everything, all their DNA has been healed, do you think the animals will go back to a state where they don't actually have to hunt and kill each other to eat food, where they just live off the organic sunlight and things of that nature? Do you think we'll go back to do you think the Earth will become like that?
Well, that's a very good question because I've looked at the whole animal thing, and what I've realised is that even in Atlantean times, as I was saying earlier, the dracos genetically hybrided just about anything you could, you know, human, animal, whatever. They tried everything. And, you know, they did a lot of it for a lot of different sort of messed up reasons. And a lot of it was to create technology, well, kind of like what the military do now, creating super soldiers and all the rest of it. They're actually creating and hybriding beings for warfare and all these other stupid reasons, you know. So it's like you have a lot of the animals on the planet now that are used for food and stuff like that, that are kind of genetically hybrided animals in certain specific ways that are not like, say, the original sort of animals that were a long time before all that hybridization happened during that whole Atlantean period, because we've got to remember before the Atlantean period you had a Lemurian period and a lot of other stuff that we don't have clear idea about is because of this sort of split positive negative loop cyclic timeline. Even the elites with all their looking glass technology and all the rest of it can't see that far back into time or ahead because of these loops that they've created. So there's a lot of stuff and original things that we kind of only have a basic idea from some of the skeletons they let us see of prehistoric animals. So a lot of them, there's a lot of original reptile sort of animals that were on the planet with the actual full-blood reptilian races who were here before anyone else, okay? And when I say full-blood reptilian races, I'm not talking about the Draco reptoids that are being in control and doing all this nonsense. That's been happening only, like the Dracos were created between the second and third Adams and Eves, okay, which is the Homo robustus and the Homo erectus, which were created for two different reasons by two different sort of Anunnaki factions, one for organic regeneration with Ishtar in the Homo erectus ones, and then you had Enlil who created the Homo robustus as well, because basically everything's stuffed up when he was creating, the Yetis, and so this is the thing. There's been a lot of different periods of different genetic hybrids that were created, both soul. Like for the Draco, you had the Anu and Lil sort of faction of the Anunnaki that were, a different sort of consciousness to the other side of the Anunnaki. And when I say Anunnaki, remember they were a whole heap of different races anyway, from bird to dog, that all came from fish, and they even had, human-looking sort of things as their giants in the first place anyway. So, there's a lot to sort of look forward to in the sense, but there's a lot to still further work out in the sense of, okay, what animals and things in nature were a complete sort of creation for this purpose and that purpose. And sure, they'll have a chance at organic regeneration too if certain things come back into line into nature that I'm sure they'll naturally sort out for themselves. But at the same time, we've got a lot to learn in that sense still, in order to sort of, I'm sure, the creation source in nature, as it sort of, creates its own homeostatic reset, that will sort itself out in its own sort of way, that we're still yet to come into more conscious reality of itself, because nature is always a reflection of us at all times, for the most part, apart from the manipulations. But then, say, for instance, what I've worked out, that we never had insects on the planet until the Dracos created them.
Wow.
Okay? But yet there's an upside as well, because then without bees, it's sort of like nothing gets pollinated or happening. So even with their system, they had to create a reasonable modicum of balance within sort of organic and inorganic sort of creations in nature to keep a balance, so they could basically do, in the end, harvest all the energy everywhere. But for the energy interface conduit technology, us being the humans, well, they've got to keep us healthy enough and living in a certain way so they can use us as that technology to harvest all the sort of energy of the planet,
Yeah, okay.
and, as a battery, So
Can I say something about the insects?
Please do.
I was having this conversation with Greg the other day. It's about 3 days ago. And I said, I could do without cockroaches. It started with pest control. I hate to put anything out for pest control. But on the other hand, I don't want ants in my house. I don't want cockroaches in my house. I don't want anything crawling over me in my bed. And so I said, I was naming off the things. Mosquitoes can go. Anything that attacks a human, basically, and if we had different energy signature, I know the bees wouldn't sting us. There was a movie I watched that had that, where the bees were swarming around like family. But so I said, well, ants can go. And after we hung up, about an hour later, I'm sitting in my office, which is my bedroom, on the bed with the computer, and an ant crawls across, as a lone single ant crawls across my screen. And I was like, whoa. And I looked around. There are no other ants anywhere. And it kind of hit me that, I looked up the metaphysical meaning of ant, and, it kind of hit me that, I'm a worker ant myself. I'm just working for the collective. And, I felt sorry for the ants that I had said that, but it just shows how powerful your thoughts are, and how powerful it is that you can have this symbiosis with this reality that we're in, because that was a reminder to me be careful what you wish for, because I don't really know the whole history of the ants, whether
Well, why
they
don't
need
you,
to hear or not.
Michelle? Why don't you try what I did with the fly? Why don't you just try communicating with us? I love you all, but I just don't want you inside my house, just be in my garden. And you might sound crazy, but it works. I've actually done that with a swarm of ants last year, and that was before I even knew anything about grounding. They used to come into our kitchen, thousands of them, and they used to go on a little trail all around the door frame, all along the kitchen tops, all the way down to the bin. And I had a communication with them because my wife wanted them all exterminated, and I said no. So I just did it instinctively. I just told them, look, we love you all, but can you just go outside, please? And honestly, about probably 2 days later, they'd all just disappeared, and I went outside, and they was all living under the bin in my garden.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, just try that. I mean, save some.
I have another question about if it's okay if we could get into a little bit. I have a little exciting story to tell about organic regeneration. Could we talk about that for just 1 second before you move on?
I'll just say, Michelle, we've got about just under 15 minutes left before my 2-hour deadline. So if you want to just talk about that now, then yeah, let's do it.
So I was told 4 years ago when I met this one particular group that without a doubt that I was here to bring what they call rejuvenation of the physical body to the planet. And I understand now what that is as far as organic regeneration goes. We have these telomeres, which are these things in our body that that keep us aging. And if we're organically regenerating our cells to where every day or every minute or whatever we have these new cells and they don't age, I think that would be the same thing as what this group was calling rejuvenation. And
it'll stop the telomeres being cut short. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to verify with you guys and with everybody listening that here I am, the first group. I still try to keep track of what they're doing, but they were receiving information from channeling sources that were saying that it's right around the corner. It's right around the corner. It's on your doorstep. They'd been doing this for 7 years, receiving these messages. Now that may be a blatant, false light type thing just to keep them so excited and then let down each time, because the one lady in the group is very she's bedbound, and she's supposedly a key role in her template being clear. That really rings just as true as far as how we're going to emerge from this is being able to regenerate our cells and fix the telomere and the DNA software program that was overlaid on our organic template. I certainly hope that we do this in our lifetime here. I think every one of us here are around the same age, which is another synchronicity that I wanted to point out. And just to know that I feel I had never felt stronger about anything else when I was told that I was here to help teach people, once I did it myself, how to regenerate your body.
Yeah. When you think about it, we have that organic blueprint that is connected to source, meaning that it's not going to wear out. It's constantly going to sort of regenerate itself. But the problem is as God was explaining with the DNA coding, because it's inorganic, and just like with anything inorganic, let's take a man-made motor, the part's going to wear out. So the inorganic overlay over our DNA is what wears out. And once we heal our DNA, but it's, again, I want to bring this up because a lot of people will hear this and then they'll run to those techniques, how to activate your DNA. And what that's going to do is put more inorganic overlay over your organic. So just don't do that. We got to do it through the earth and heal that. So once we get rid of that inorganic overlay, then our DNA will not age. Does that make sense?
Exactly. It does make sense. And I think that I'm waiting for you to do it, hon. we're all working on it at the same time, and we're
and
really...
I'm watching you. You're on fire, and you just like putting out these articles, and I'm like, oh, let me see. Let me learn something new. I'm sure Michelle put out something out today.
Michelle, what was that saying you had in the article about stop, drop, and what was the last bit about? If you, it made me laugh so much. I loved it. Go on.
Stop, drop, and ground.
That's it. Yeah, awesome.
That's the term I use when you're being triggered and you know it, or let's say that you just have so many things happening at one time in that one moment. If you can just find a place to just stop, drop, meaning go within yourself, just stop and go within yourself and give yourself a little time and talk to Gaia and imagine yourself, connecting with her core. It makes all the difference in the world in figuring out what you're going to do. And then you just start tackling your problems that have manifested one thing at a time. These are all external source, external outside of yourself things coming at you, by the way. These are the things that have been happening to me lately. Just tackle them one thing at a time. We can do this. This is, we've done this before. This is child's play.
That sounds awesome to me. What do you guys say? Yes, we're going to do it. No problem.
Yeah.
So I have a question, guys. How do we know that we aren't actually that the astral realm hasn't been completely cleared out, and we are? How do we? What if we were just sitting here watching these programs run, but actually everything's already been done, and all we need to do is start organically regenerating ourselves? How do we, in every moment, how do we know that we're not there yet? And this is just, do you know what I'm trying to say? I don't want to use the word ascended because, that has been tainted with the wrong way of moving into the astral realm and all that. But really, true ascension is organic regeneration and being free of the higher level archons. How do we know we're not free of them?
Okay, I'm going to drop another little controversial bombshell here. Is that, okay, the Dracos basically did this thing with the 56 BC confusion of the tongues incident that created all this sort of DNA coding and unplugging of such on all these different levels on the planet. But the Earth itself tilted in order to stop them from doing the direct harvest of the Earth frequency. So the Earth was smart enough to do that and do it in a very clever sort of way that sort of matched this whole number 9 numerical sort of thing, As we know, all maths is astral and all the rest of it. But not only did it do that, it actually had another backup plan, and all these sort of people in history, like this Jesus character for a start, okay? He's a fictional character created that was based on 2 real characters, okay? Izu, a Hungarian Magi, is a Magyar, and also Emmanuel, who is a Moor. And those guys kind of knew each other, and the Piso family in 70 AD basically created this whole single Jesus thing in the image of their own family then, but based on these 2 characters. And the whole Bible, the New Testament in particular, is all the combination of fragments of truth and lies and astrotheology programming, okay, that connects the astrology in the outer sort of, unplugged sort of 9 dimensions of the astral that, we've been made sort of unplugged from that reality, that part of our reality, and created into astral, to basically connect that to our inner astrology within us and to keep going to that program, okay? So because that's more part of the programming. If you're a good little boy and you follow all the, what's going on there, well, then you get to see what the program is and you can go along with it and profit from it. But at the end of the day, from an epigenetic point of view, well, really, you created all of that anyway, so why be run by it? It's sort of like, you run by your own instinct, how part of being just so few other people like them. For all the religious people out there, what the true sort of thing that they were doing was the saying, okay, the earth is tilted and all this sort of thing, but the thing is that even though the earth is tilted, you can still get your organic regeneration happening and unlock all of these 12 sort of DNA strands, or say like the 9, 10 that they locked up, and still do conscious, sort of organic solar regeneration while you're in this physical reality, even though the planet's tilted like this. So that was basically Source, in the planet's way of basically saying, hey, you can still do this despite what they've done. And so what the astral sort of powers that be have done, well, they've obviously grabbed hold of this, closed this all down, and had to whitewash and change all the history and turn into all their sort of icon worship, sort of cult of personality stuff that's all about energy harvesting. So this is the thing. If you center and you keep on centering, you will open up all of that DNA sort of, code lock. And eventually you will get that full consciousness. And at the end of the day, it's like anything. The more time you spend your focus on that, living by your whole senses and disregarding the mind program, well, the quicker you're going to do it. But at the same time, stoically, everyone's still living in the matrix for the time being, and you've still got to stoically sort of, put food on the table and all the rest of it. So somehow you've got to balance that all off and somehow organise your life to gradually shift yourself over. And the sooner you can do it and order your sort of life here, so you can consciously have your focus as much to yourself 24/7 to be able to organically regenerate, and you've created enough richness in your life that you don't have to totally depend on money. You only have to depend on it to a certain means in order to get by until things in the more wider, grander sort of external collective start changing for the better and more in sync with the Earth timeline and it being itself. Well, that's basically how quick it will be for people when you look at it in a true realistic sense. The more you can focus and actually do the do, well, the more these things are going to happen. That makes, the most basic sense in all senses, just on a logical scale, how fast and how soon this is going to happen. But the interesting thing is that although 85% of people on the planet are of the mind-controlled, programmable genetic variety, it will only take a certain proportion of people of shifting, so it actually shifts polarity and helps everyone else. So it'll be an exponential thing. So the more certain key people, because they created all these royal people, bloodlines with genetics for them to have all these extra little abilities and things like that. Well, the more people like this and the people they're currently using as key pivots for all their ascension harvest programs and things like that, because they've got kind of like the juiciest sort of interface conduit technology, for energy harvesting as far as the astral hierarchy is concerned, hence why they created them as their surface generals, surface sort of shepherds of the sheep. So it's like the more all of those sort of people too, and people just wake up and realise, well, this is really the only way to go, and it's about living simply and harmlessly, and it's like life isn't the big deal stress that it's meant to be. Now, that might sound a bit hippie, but, that's just a terminology and a demonisation anyway of another controlled opposition along the way as they manipulate revolutions, when they know things are going to happen. But it's like, at the end of the day, well, organic regeneration isn't about any particular label. It's just about living life and keeping the love amongst the living. And if you stay present, you're in all your senses and you kind of live, sort of more in a sort of a sync sense in harmony with, what we're meant to be doing here. And we've actually been in this sort of, culture of death sort of, mind prison for quite a while now, and we know their agenda, and basically they just want to eradicate all sort of organic life to create the zombification so they can have their sort of dream world in the physical reality as well, while having a very minimum of the organic sort of thing just to be used as a battery. So, well, you could say the reverse polarization they've done has been flipped, and then it's just a matter of integrating all the parts again. And once you become conscious and you see into the interconnectedness of all things in life anyway, and you become conscious of it, well, there's no separation, and hence we regain the true oneness in that sense, and not only that within ourselves in the sense of you get back to the whole genetics rather than you don't even need to look at it or study it with the mind in sort of, 12 sort of dimensions, or, down to 48 split off there, or 48 for the higher frequency indigo kids and all this silly terminology we learn. Yeah, there's some truth to it, but not in the sense that they explain it. So that's the thing.
Gods, I've got about 2 minutes left, so Lily and Michelle, do you want to say last couple of minutes before I go?
Oh,
Lily,
2 minutes.
Go on, Lily, you go first.
Yep. Yeah, just thank you, everybody, for this conversation. This was so short. We need more. We need more of this.
Well,
so thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan. Doing it once a week, is there, Lily? Michelle and God, do it once a week. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to remind people to do something creative right now. You can play or write music. You can paint. You can write blogs, articles, or books. I know with my writing, it's not a mind thing. It's a flow. It's a declaration of what I want. It's the change that I want to see. Or you could just do nothing at all and spend time with yourself in nature. But doing something creative, if you're looking for something to do, you can't beat that right now.
Awesome, yeah, I totally agree. Just like Lily said in the last show, just find some grass, find a tree, sit underneath it, and just connect back with Gaia, and just talk to her, and do things creative. Like I said, my wife does lots of knitting. She's really in the now when she's doing that. Goz's has got his music, so yeah, me and you, Michelle, we do a lot of writing and things of that nature. So yeah, anyone listening to this, just do that and be in the now. Well, I'd just like to thank you all very much. I've been so honoured to have you three on at once. It's been absolutely amazing and a fantastic vibe coming off everyone. So thank everyone for doing that. And no doubt we'll have to do this again. Like Liz says, not enough time. We need some more time to talk about bigger subjects. So with that in mind, I thank you all very much, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.